Okay, so I'm going to talk about finding the determinant for a 2x2 and a 3x3 matrix, and those would be about the only ones I would require you to do on a test. So 2x2, formula for a 2x2 determinant, and I know it's a determinant because I have these two vertical lines that look like absolute values. I could also use the word D, or the abbreviation D, T, times a matrix, or of a matrix. And it just means for a 2x2 to multiply this diagonal and subtract the product of that diagonal. So A times D minus B times C. And you're going to do that every time. It's always a subtract. So here I have a little 2x2. I want the determinant. Negative 3 times 2 minus 4 times 5. And that gives me a negative 26. And what the determinant actually means is if this is any number besides 0, then this matrix has an inverse. That's what we're going to worry about. So if it's anything other than 0, it has an inverse. If it's equal to 0, there's no inverse. So down here, I have this little sign pattern, and I want you to write it down, or at least write down the top row. You can find the determinant by any row or column, but I always use the top row. And if they tell you to use, like some homework says, use the second row, well, you can. You just have to use this pattern, which I'm not demonstrating, because I always use the first, unless there's an advantage numerically. So just get the first one under control, and then we'll talk if you want an extra example. So here's a determinant of a 3x3. Again, I know it's a determinant, not a matrix, because these are vertical. And I'm going to look at this first row. Now look at what I have written down. I have 2 with some parentheses, with some stuff that's going to go in there, minus 5, more parentheses, plus 3, more parentheses. That's these numbers. That's the first row. The minus here is coming from that pattern. You always put a subtract there. I don't care what the 5 is. You always put a subtract there. And if 5 happened to be a negative 5, then this would simplify to a positive. In this case, it won't. It's just subtracting 5. These two will always have plus. So you don't even put this one down. And this one, you put a plus 3. Okay? Now, that's just those symbols. If this would have been a negative 3, you still put plus negative 3. The one you have to worry about is that subtract right there. So now, I'm going to expand this by the first row. I'm going to start with the 2. So you notice I have the row in yellow and this first column in yellow because I'm starting with 2. So I eliminate everything that's in yellow. I tune it out. I have 2 times, and then I have this little 2x2 matrix. And I'm going to find the determinant of that 2x2, which is negative 2 times negative 2 minus 0 times 4. And that's what I'm writing in there. And that's how you're always going to do these. You're going to eliminate a row, eliminate a column, and you'll have a little 2x2 left, and you find the determinant of them and put them in these parentheses. So next one, I eliminate the center column, and you see the numbers that have no yellow on them. They form like a little 2x2 matrix if you just tune out the stuff in yellow. So in this one, I have subtract 5, and then 1 times negative 2 minus 1 times 4. That's what I have in there. Scroll down. And I'm going to eliminate the third column because I'm going with the 3. And that leaves me 1 times 0 minus 1 times negative 2. And these next steps are just simplifying that. And you do not want to get in a rush. There's a lot of negative signs on this stuff. So this will give me a 4 minus 0. And here I'm getting a negative 2 minus 4. 0 plus 2. Simplify inside the parentheses. That's where this step's coming from. Then multiply those numbers in. So 2 times 4 is 8. Negative 5 times negative 6 is a positive 30. 3 times 2 is 6. And add them all up and you get 44. And all that work, that tells me that this matrix does have an inverse. These are not simple. I know they're not easy, but you should be able to deal with a 3x3. Okay? So go back up and start with this one again and work it until you can do it yourself without using the video.